Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, but last time we were at Masada. So this episode is all about afterwards. We're going to go to En Gedi, and after En Gedi, with a wonderful time there and telling a story about David and Saul, we're going to head on over to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We get up early on day 6, go down there, take a tour of that, and then run out to the bus. But it's a really cool time at that church. There's wonderful, wonderful things to see. You guys stay tuned. En Gedi and its natural reserve on the shore of the Dead Sea is where the flora and fauna of the splendid nature reserve intersect with great biblical adventures. The living landscape of David's hideout from Saul and the Song of Solomon comprise some of these adventures. As you climb the path toward the sparkling waterfall, the picture of David hiding from King Saul comes alive with a view of cliffside caves. The spirited animals that gave the site its biblical name, the crags of the wild goats, rest at cave entrances and walk around the reserve. The water gurgling through the tangled reeds and under shady acacias once nourished the beds of species that enrich the poetry of the Song of Solomon. 1 Samuel chapter 24. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En Gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all of Israel and went to seek David and his men in front of the wild goats' rocks. And he came to the sheep's fold by the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to take a rest. Now David and his men were sitting in the innermost parts of the cave, and the men of David said to him, "Here is the day in which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do unto him as it seems good to you." Then David arose and stealthily cut off the tassel of Saul's robe. And afterwards David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's tassel. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed, to put forth my hand against him, seeing he is the Lord's anointed." So David persuaded his men with these words, and did not permit them to attack Saul. And Saul rose up and left the cave and went on his way. On our trip back into Jerusalem, I noted that there are many places along the Dead Sea. As the Dead Sea recedes, the sinkholes start to form. These sinkholes become very, very large and very numerous. This is the start of day 6 here in Jerusalem. We are heading to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Sorry about the shaking. The status quo is an understanding among religious communities with respect to 9 shared religious sites in Jerusalem and Bethlehem. The status quo stemmed from a decree of Ottoman Sultan Osman III in 1757 that preserved the division of ownership and responsibilities of various Christian holy places. That was amazingly loud. Whoa. Further decrees issued in 1852 and 1853 affirmed that no changes could be made without consensus of all 6 Christian communities. The so-called immovable ladder under the window of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, made of Lebanon cedar wood, was in place by 1728 and has remained there ever since the 1757 status quo was established, aside from being temporarily moved twice. The latter is referred to as immovable due to the agreement of the status quo that no cleric of the 6 Christian orders may move, rearrange, or alter any property without the consent of the other 5 orders. During his pilgrimage to the Holy Land in 1964, Pope Paul VI described the latter as a visible symbol of Christian division. In 1997, the ladder was pulled in through a window and hidden behind an altar by a Protestant Christian intending to make a point of the silliness of the argument over whose ledge it is. It was returned to the ledge weeks later, and a grate was installed in the window. This begs the question, how did they get consensus to bar the window? Following the siege of AD 70 during the First Jewish-Roman War, Jerusalem had been reduced to ruins. In AD 130, the Roman Emperor Hadrian began the building of a Roman colony, the new city on the site of Old Jerusalem. Circa AD 135, he ordered that the cave containing a rock-cut tomb be filled in to create a flat foundation for a temple dedicated to Jupiter or Venus. The temple remained until the early 4th century. After seeing a vision of a cross in the sky in 312, Constantine the Great converted to Christianity, signed the Edict of Milan, legalizing the religion, and sent his mother, Helena, to Jerusalem to look for Christ's tomb. With the help of 2 bishops, 3 crosses were found near the tomb, leading the Romans to believe that they had found Calvary. Constantine ordered in about 326 that the temple to Jupiter or Venus be replaced by a church. After the temple was torn down and its ruins removed, the soil was removed from the cave, revealing the rock-cut tomb that Helena identified as the burial site of Jesus. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was built as separate constructs over 2 holy sites. The Great Basilica, an enclosed colonnaded atrium with the traditional site of Calvary in one corner, and across the courtyard, a rotunda, where Helena believed Jesus to have been buried. The church was consecrated on September 13th in the year 335. The original building was destroyed by fire in May of AD 640 when Jerusalem was invaded and captured. When the Romans recaptured Jerusalem, they rebuilt the church in the year 630. However, the building suffered severe damage from an earthquake in the year 746. Early in the 9th century, another earthquake damaged the dome of Anastasis. The damage was repaired by the year 810, but by 841, the church suffered another fire. In 966, due to the defeat of Muslim armies in the region of Syria, a riot broke out, which was followed by reprisals. The basilica was burned again. The doors and roof were burnt, and the patriarch John VII was murdered. On October 18th, 1009, a Muslim leader ordered the complete deconstruction of the church as part of a more general campaign against Christian places of worship in Palestine and Egypt. The damage was extensive, with few parts of the early church remaining, and the roof and the rock-cut tomb damaged. The original shrine was also destroyed. An agreement in 1027 was finally reached where the building was allowed to be restored. The building was finally completed at a huge expense to the Emperor Constantine and Patriarch of Constantinople in 1048. Even with spending vast sums of money in an effort to restore the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a total replacement was far beyond available resources. The new construction was concentrated on the rotunda and its surrounding buildings. The great basilica remained in ruins. The rebuilt church site consisted of a court open to the sky with 5 small chapels attached to it. The chapels were east of the Court of Resurrection, where the western wall and the great basilica had been. The Crusader period, between the year 1099 and 1244, saw lots of improvements to the church, including refurbishing the church in Romanesque style and adding a bell tower. These renovations unified the small chapels on the site and were completed during the reign of Queen Melisende in 1149, placing all of the holy places under one roof for the first time.
In 1545, the upper level of the church's bell tower collapsed. The Franciscan friars renovated the church in 1555 as it had been neglected despite increased numbers of pilgrims. During this same time, a marble shrine was placed to envelop the remains of Christ's tomb, probably to prevent pilgrims from touching the original rock or taking small pieces as souvenirs. A marble slab was also placed over the limestone burial bed where Jesus' body is believed to have been lain. A fire severely damaged the structure again in 1808, causing the dome of the rotunda to collapse and smash the exterior decoration. The rotunda and the exterior were rebuilt in 1809 in the contemporary Ottoman Baroque style. The shrine around the tomb was also replaced. The interior of the antechamber, now known as the Chapel of the Angel, was partially rebuilt to a square ground plane in place of the previous semicircular western end. The dome was restored again between 1994 to 1997 as a part of extensive modern renovations that have been ongoing since 1959. During the 1970 to 1978 restoration works and excavations inside the building, it was found that the area was originally a quarry from which white limestone was struck. Whether this is the true site of Calvary matters not to the pilgrims who come here. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre has been recognized as the site of Jesus Christ's crucifixion since the early Byzantine period, and today is one of Jerusalem's most visited tourist attractions and a place of deep religious significance. Within the basilica are the last stations of the Via Dolorosa, Jerusalem's famous pilgrimage walk. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre can seem surprisingly small compared to the great cathedrals of Italy, Spain, and France, but this modest size belies its deep significance. For Christian believers of all denominations, this is the most holy place of their faith. Walking through the crush of pilgrims and wafting incense within the church is one of the greatest experiences in Jerusalem's Old City. Opposite the rotunda in the main building are 4 small chapels. The first one is the Prison of Christ, which you just saw in this video. This is the place where Jesus is thought to be held prior to his trial. The second one is the Chapel of St. Longinus. It was dedicated to the Roman soldier with his lance pierced the side of Christ, from which blood and water flowed immediately out. When he saw that, Longinus immediately accepted Jesus as the Son of God. Truly, this was the Son of God, Matthew 27:54. The third is the Chapel of the Division of the Holy Robes. This commemorates Jesus being stripped of his garments by the Roman soldiers. The fourth chapel is the Chapel of Derision. This commemorates the insults that the priests and the people poured towards Jesus at the beginning of his journey to the crucifixion. In the chapel is a preserved fragment of the column in which Jesus is said to have sat down while they placed the crown of thorns on his head. It is said that if you put your ear to the stone on top of the fragment, that you can hear laughter. In between the third and fourth chapel are a flight of steps leading down to St. Helena's chapel. The chapel is roughly square, with 4 short columns of the Byzantine period carrying the high arches to the roof structure. Through the dome, light falls from above into the large central square, giving the chapel its own special atmosphere, which is enhanced by the lamps, the decorative textiles, and the altar. To the right is a recess in which Helena is said to have watched the bringing to light of the Roman cistern in which the true cross was found. In the rock face at the right are small crosses incised by pilgrims of the Crusader period.
Hey, thanks for coming with on this wonderful adventure. If you would like to support any of the works that I do, I'm going to leave a PayPal account in the description of this video. Please find that description. It is going to be for the Lewis County Gospel Mission. Yes, the Lewis County Gospel Mission. They need your help in support of the less fortunate neighbors in our area, and I would be honored if you would put money toward that account. It's the Lewis County Gospel Mission, and we do some fantastic things there. We feed the hungry, we provide showers, we provide clothes. There's a lot of really cool outreach programs that we do. So won't you please support the Gospel Mission? And until next time, I'm Dave Anderson signing out. You guys be safe out there, and God bless.